All right, it's Thursday morning. It's 9 a.m. We're live here at
Welcome
the
in.
Dakotan.
We are. It's a rainy morning here in Minot, at least. We are got a fun little roundup for today. This cloudy Thursday morning. It's gonna be a fun session we got going on today.
Absolutely. We are joined on the phone by Senator Kent Weston. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, glad to be here.
Fantastic to have you. You guys just wrapped up a lengthy legislative session, and of course you're back home. We can only assume farming at this point, and hopefully enjoying some of the good weather up there.
Yeah, crop went in real quick. There's still a little bit to do, but most of the people in the area are in real good position, and they were really begging for a rain, and we got a nice half-inch last night, and it looks like more to come later on. So everybody's in good spirits.
Best case scenario as of right now. Love to see that. And after wrapping up, this was your second legislative session, correct?
That's right.
Perfect. How did it, let's just start generally. How did it go for you?
You know, it went a lot smoother for me. I had more responsibilities and duties, but that first session is a little overwhelming, to be honest with you. There's so much to learn. I don't think the general public understands the amount of information and knowledge that comes at us and the decisions. And like for me, the first session, I realized that we're doing the people's work, and it was a little daunting and weighed heavy on me. Not that it didn't the second session, but you're just a little more used to it and used to the whole process.
Yeah, have that.
I would. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, having that experience under your belt really makes a difference. Please continue.
It really does. Yeah, it was. You knew what to expect. It was just easier to step in, to participate at a higher level in committee work, on the session floor, and to really be more of a participant instead of a bystander.
Right. Mm-hmm. That makes a difference for sure.
So do you feel like it's going to be like, as the transition goes with term limits, and I know that this has been talked about a lot, but you basically at this point, you'd be going into your second term potentially, and it would be getting down to things on it. How do you think that's going to go for the new legislators that are coming in?
You know, I can only speak on the Senate side of the freshman legislators, but man, we had a fantastic group. They really hit the ground running. I just was so impressed. They came ready to work. So if we always had a batch of freshmen like that,
all right.
I don't think that we would miss a beat, honestly. But man, they seem like a rare group to me. I was just really impressed with our group of freshman senators.
It's awesome.
But there's still, they would all tell you there's still so much to learn. So on the term limits thing, I do believe it needs to be tweaked. There's things positive about it, but the negative thing, if there's really two kind of branches.
Sure.
There's policy making and there's appropriations, and there's a learning curve in both. And 8 years, boy, is like my second session. I felt a little more at home, and everybody will say the third session even more so.
Mm-hmm. Well,
then if I wanted to go to appropriations and start over again, and it kind of is a little bit of starting over. I think if we could have, and this would have to be by the people.
Sure.
I didn't vote. We had lots of bills come up discussing tweaking term limits, but the people voted very strongly for this. So I'm not going to go against the wishes of the people. That's just where I'm at. I would hope that we can get information out to them, some education, and show them that, there's probably a way to tweak this where my thoughts are 4 terms wherever. So you could do 2 terms in the House and then go over 2 terms to the Senate or vice versa. But I think it should be tweaked to, personal opinion, to 4 terms wherever. And I think that would, still accomplish what the people want. I think that would strike the right balance, in my opinion, on the
Absolutely.
No, that's fair, because when you're at that 8 years, right? Because especially in North Dakota, where we have that every other year legislative session, when you get to that 4th session, all of a sudden you're about to be term limited out. So when you're really starting to get rolling and get comfortable, it's when it almost just comes to an end at that point.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's kind of, and I certainly have a different perspective being there than before I got there.
Right.
And I would say that's a good, accurate assessment on your guys' part, that it does take a little while to get rolling. And again, I tell you what, this freshman group came in ready to go.
That's awesome.
So I was pretty impressed. Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, it's good to hear, especially with as big of a freshman class it was. I know it's especially for Minot, like half the legislative assembly that got elected this past fall was freshmen or reps and senators from Minot. So great to hear that. Good to see. And
I'll give a shout out to one of yours, and is Jose Castaneda was just a superstar, just a great guy, and he was really ready to go. So I have to give a shout out there.
It's awesome. We're going to have him on Tuesday, so we'll have to talk to him about that. So
and tell him I was breaking him up.
Yes, exactly. Sounds good. We'll do.
Then with all of the legislative session, there's been one really new development that came out last night. There was a ruling in the court decision for the 2022 redistricting. And so back in 2022, North Dakota redistricted the legislative districts, and now it seems like it's going to be reversed. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it affects the district I was in.
Mm-hmm.
I was in 9, and then I got redistricted into District 15, and so I only served 2 years and had to run again right away in District 15. I felt right from the start that that was legislating from the bench. It was because of the judge, even in his own decision, said that, well, they didn't quite get it right. But typically when you overturn something like that, it should be an egregious Voters' Rights Act violation. And even in his dissertation, he said, well, it was close. They tried to get it right, but in his opinion, it wasn't quite right. Well, if it was a Voters' Rights Act, according to the census, and it was a lot, because I had beat a Native American, or a Republican beat a Democrat. I was cited in there many, many times.
Sure.
But the Native American population in Old District 9, which is now going to be back to that same district, by the census was 62% Native American. So, so just by those numbers, that didn't make any sense at all.
Sure.
And the census, most everybody would tell you, because of COVID, they were on the reservation, their people were way undercounted.
Gotcha.
I would say it was probably closer to 70. What people estimate was truly in Rolette County. The Native population in our district was probably closer to 70-some%. And so,
from what I can tell, it sounds like with the census, I believe we had Marvin Nelson on a couple weeks ago, and he was talking some similar things with how this went down. The census doesn't send out the reports to P.O. boxes, only to physical addresses. Is that correct?
That's the way I understand it.
Okay.
Yes. And they weren't getting the information back.
Gotcha.
But they know by registered tribal members, there's some other things that they know there's a lot more there. I believe that Rolette County could have, had everybody been accounted for, they could have had their own district, because the district is like 16,500 or 17,000.
Give or take a little.
Yeah.
Yes. And the belief is there's probably that many people in Rolette County.
Gotcha.
all by itself.
Very interesting. So that's going to make your re-election campaign look a little different.
It will for sure, but I won there before.
Yeah.
And here's really my position. I felt like I was called by, in my wife and I praying, that I was called by God to do this. I answered the call.
Right.
If I don't win, or if I'm not supposed to run again, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Fair.
If I'm supposed to, I believe things will go the right way. So
absolutely. No, I think having the disconnected approach to Bismarck, to the role, is a good thing, where this is not my living, this is not my only purpose in life, because it feels like when that happens, then the things that come out of Bismarck get a little bit perhaps not what the people want at times. So I think that's a good thing.
I think that's very accurate and well said.
Very good.
While we're on Bismarck still, a big property tax bill finally got passed right at the wire at the end of your guys' session. It went through a lot of changes throughout, of course, but it ended up, it was House Bill 1176. It ended up with a $1,600 primary residence tax credit, and also a 3% cap on local municipalities' property ability to raise property taxes in a given year. Generally, what's your take on the whole property tax bill and the situation and how that all played out?
Sure. Property tax is my least favorite tax. I believe in one of the things that made this country, and still makes this country great, is private property ownership, and it should be made as easy as possible. And so I think this was a step in the right direction. I mean, it missed a lot of marks, like being from a rural area, the farmland property, the commercial property, things in cities. However, I do believe to do the most good for our state, we are struggling for workforce.
Right.
Having low property tax on primary residence should encourage young people to want to move here. So the more work we can do there, I think that will help. North Dakotans, as much as any other area will do. There was concessions for rural areas, for money for bridges and roads in townships and counties, and that is property tax relief in a sort as well. So it's not like the rural areas like my farmstead, and farmsteads are exempt. Homes are exempt, so we certainly already have some of those things, but we didn't see additional relief, but we did with roads and bridges, monies being funded there. So I think it struck a good balance of focusing on residents. So if you do broad tax relief, then it gets a lot of out-of-state people as well. So I think the way that we did this helps North Dakota residents. I believe the people that worked on it, Hardest did a wonderful job of doing the most, still balancing our budget, and this is going to be meaningful relief. So
that's awesome.
I feel like it struck a good balance of helping out multiple areas and just residents of North Dakota.
One thing that we've commented on, Kyler's been a big proponent of saying this is it's maybe relief, but it's not reform. Obviously, probably the closest to reform this thing gets is imposing a 3% cap, which I think the mayor of Fargo is saying like this is just going to be impossible for us, essentially, saying that they can't get below a 4.5% rate of growth in their budget. How do you, when it comes down to relief versus reform and all that, and I think a lot of the citizens of North Dakota, based off Measure 4, maybe not the majority, but a lot of citizens wanted a reform type of product that came out of this. What do you say to that? Do you feel like this is relieved? Is this reform? What's the future of property taxes based off the conversations you've had?
Well, I think there's going to be a continued push for more and more relief. I actually wanted it at 2%.
Okay.
Yeah, because over the last 10, 15 years, property tax increases on average across the state have been 3%.
Sure.
Okay.
That's what it's been. So now it does stop these huge increases and changing valuations. If they change the valuation of a property by 10% in a year, they have to reduce the mills then because they capped it at 3%. So
Yeah.
so I like that. Again, I think it's a step in the right direction. That cap is really is the reform, is the change, because otherwise, if we just said, the state is going to give X back, the local political subs can raise the mill or raise the valuations, and you've gained nothing. And that's what had been happening for years and years and years. So this is true relief now, or reform. I truly believe this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah. So,
If you have political sub, they're growing and they think that they need more money, there is a way. It goes to the vote of the people, and they can raise it. But I think that's proper.
Yeah.
Taxing away. I think of what happened out in the oil field. There was people on fixed incomes, and property valuations were rising so much because of people moving in there and the demand for housing, and it put huge pressure on people on fixed incomes to stay in their home.
So
that just should not be.
right. And I agree with that. And we've heard a lot of that come out. So why not have a stronger push for switching the valuation type
process?
Yeah, valuation type from being based off the value of the home, which in my opinion is quite unfair, because I can have a very small house, but it's a very expensive house. It's gold plated, and so I have to go and pay an insane amount of property taxes, even though the services that I'm actually using, what I'm paying for, is less than somebody that may have a house that's 3 times the size as mine.
Right. No, I think those are good discussions to have. I didn't quite catch everything you said there, but we do need to look at, and there was some bills looking at the valuation
Gotcha.
formula and changing that. So there's ongoing discussions. This property tax relief and reformation discussions will not stop with what we did here. Like I said, I believe it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Is it perfect? No, far from it. But
Makes sense. That's good.
Yeah.
That's fair. And I think that's a good place to kind of wrap the property tax conversation. One other bill I want to talk about is the Senate bill. It's one that you helped introduce. It's Senate Bill 2396, and that is an audit of the North Dakota Development Fund. And it ended up getting passed in, I think, late April. Do you want to talk about the process of that bill coming to be and how it ended up getting passed?
Yes. There was a lot of concerns about the Department of Commerce, the Development Fund, even before I got there. And I remember people frustrated with the money being spent out of the Department of Commerce. And, being a freshman legislator a session ago, I just listened. But then in the interim, I got introduced to a young entrepreneur starting a business in my district, and started to see some things that concerned me there, and then finding out that the the Development Fund, they order their own audit. And I'm finding out more things that there's quite a few departments and entities in the state that order their own audits. Well, when you order your own audit, you can determine the scope of what's being audited. It doesn't have to be a blanket audit. And so the transparency isn't like I would like it to be.
Sounds like that could be a little biased.
To learn. Well, they sure could be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even saying that it is, but
it has
the potential is there for that to happen. 100%. Mm-hmm. So I decided that the way that this young man, in my opinion, was being treated by Commerce wasn't right. There seemed to be a double standard for certain businesses. And as I'm digging into it, I'm seeing, there seems to be a circle of friends, you might say, that seem to be getting a lot of grants and loans and not producing what I would like them to see. Well, so in that process, I thought this is going to be very important to do a performance audit. So it's a deep dive into how they do business, how they give out the loans and grants, and get a picture of who they're giving it to and why, and the repayment and all of those types of things, and wanted it to be Commerce and the Development Fund. Through the process, a young man came in and spoke that, the Development Fund needed to be done, but that Commerce wasn't so important. And then the finances to do both, it would cost a lot more money.
Sure.
I kind of settled on the fact in visiting with the auditor, he could do a performance audit on Commerce probably a year after we do the Development Fund, and he could do it himself. And so then it would be interstate, or our state department doing it. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, that would probably be a nice compromise, and allowing us to do a deeper dive on Commerce, or the Development Fund. Now that's a lot smaller piece of the pie, though. Yep. So it's going to be even more important to get Commerce done. Now we'll see if that gets done correctly, and but that's kind of how it came about. Is I want more transparency in the state. There's a lot of concerns of where money's being spent, not enough accountability back to the taxpayer, and quite frankly, I'm seeing some things that are very concerning. Board members giving money to other board members, and again, this kind of circular thing that it's going around year after year after year to the same businesses, or the same people starting new businesses, but not performing to what they said they were going to accomplish. Mm-hmm. And that is extremely concerning to me. You want to talk, I'll go back to property tax.
Sure.
The amount of money we're spending through the Commerce Department in the Development Fund, we could fund a lot more property tax relief.
Fair.
A good chunk of it. And so I think the question needs to be asked, should we be helping, should the state be involved in helping businesses get started? Because, they could compete against other business. There can be corruption. Every time there's not accountability at a high level, opens up the door. Again, don't all your listeners don't misunderstand me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's corruption, but it opens up the door for it. And I'm seeing some things that are very concerning,
right?
That need to be addressed.
Yeah. No, all of a sudden these little instances start to add up, and it makes a question mark start to go off in one's head. What is it? It looks like the rough timeline for this is probably 2 years out for when the audit on the Development Fund will be finished. Is that right?
The Development Fund, I believe we got an emergency on that, so they'll start right away on that as soon as they can get somebody lined up to audit it. And I think we're supposed to have the report in 2026.
Oh, okay, perfect.
And then they will, probably towards the end, but then they'll do the performance audit. We have on record our state auditor saying that he will do a performance audit on the whole commerce department right after that. So hopefully before the next session, before 2027, we'll have that report as well. And if we find what I think we'll find, it'll be a good stepping stone to go into other performance audits wherever the state is, or departments are calling for their own audits. And it's about transparency again. How is our money being spent? You look at the money that our state spends versus other states of similar size. Maybe they have more population. So then but you figure out per person.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, we are spending. It's just crazy. So what is going on here? Are we doing it better? Are we giving more services? Well, it doesn't appear like that. So what's happening? So all these things add up to questions that I think need to be answered. I think there's enough money being brought into our state to give tax relief at a much higher level than we're even doing now if we get these things solved.
That's great, and hopefully they can, because when you look at some of these people that are involved, and I mean, we're talking about the Dunseith situation, what we've dubbed the Dunseith Debacle with Mr. Charles Hofer up in Dunseith and Botno. One thing, when you see some of the people that are involved, they've claimed they don't have a lot of knowledge of the situation or of the past situations there. And the more you start to dig, the more, at the very least, indirect connections start coming up, whether it be from 2017, 2019, 2020, 21 kind of time frame. But a lot of connections to Dunseith and that facility start popping up, and some key figures get involved in that. And whether they actually knew the full story or not is a different question. But all of a sudden, the knowledge that they had previously starts to come into question.
Yeah, absolutely. Even you go back, I mean, and this is a lot where the audit idea came up to me that needed to be done. Some of the connections back to Dunseith are the same people that are getting money yet today.
Yep.
Through the development fund, through the industrial commission, through the commerce department. They all seem to be very closely tied together. And, very high-ranking officials on the U.S. level that claim little or no knowledge, even mispronouncing Dunseith, yet being born in Rolla, living in Candu, and having people on a monthly basis in meetings concerning Dunseith. It's like, well, wait a minute here. And again, I'm not saying there's wrongdoing, but why are they misleading even in these simple truths is concerning to me. And we need, and I appreciate you guys digging into this and standing with Mr. Hofer and here's one of the things I'll tell you. I've been misled dramatically from some people at Commerce, but I have never, to my knowledge, been lied to by Mr. Hofer. He's been just so forthright, wants to, this transparency thing that I talk about all the time. He wants light shed on everything. Come and look at, he had me look at his books. He was accused of misusing funds. There was no misuse of funds. I saw all of his books. And I talked to Commerce. They said, no way. And to make an accusation to an investor and then it got reported in the newspaper. Anybody can do a Google search and see this. You can imagine how devastating that would be to any startup company with no proof. They just alleged it. So even if they truly believed it, they should not have said it till they had proof.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just thinking he did that, which I don't believe I don't believe they think that, or when you see some of the other loans that they give with no performance expected or done, and then give money again and again and again, and yet they're stifling this young man, telling me a week before the alleged misuse of funds how they wanted him to succeed,
Mm-hmm.
and then say that to an investor.
Right.
I mean, that is,
It raises
they don't want him to succeed.
Yeah, it raises some serious questions. And again, one thing's an isolated incident. When you start seeing things rack up like this, you start to notice a pattern. And again, that doesn't mean anyone's doing anything intentionally wrong, but it just starts to raise questions in your head on what's really going on here.
100%, and that's why we need more accountability. That's why we need this audit. I believe that was one of the most important bills in this legislative cycle, and not because I brought it forth. I just think that we need transparency if we're getting money misspent to the degree that I believe we are.
Right.
It's very serious.
Undoubtedly. And one point before we start wrapping up that you made earlier that I wanted to address again, you were talking about the amount of money that gets distributed and how it looks on a per job basis. So in a lot of other states, with the funding that gets distributed to a company, it ends up being like in the value of like $5,000 to $20,000 per job added. With a lot of the cases that you've seen here, at least on the initial startup costs of it, these jobs are looking in the figure of like over $100,000 per job. And
yes.
It's some questionable numbers when you see that large of a dollar figure and you question what the actual results of it are, whether it's the jobs that don't end up getting produced like they say they will, or if there's actually product coming out or not.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Some of the things I saw, as much as close to $1,800,000 a job.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. I said, man, I would hire 100,000 people for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's
it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the level of performance. I think of one that we recently found where they were supposed to have 93 jobs actually at the facility that Mr. Hofer is at,
mm-hmm.
and never produced any.
Yep.
But that same company then got more money.
Mm-hmm. And at that same time when those jobs were promised, if I'm not mistaken, we're talking in 2019, the company that they were contracting with didn't actually hold the lease to the facility in Dunseith at that point.
Yeah, no, that's correct.
So
they were supposed to do manufacturing, and they did not have a license to be a manufacturer. They were a sales company.
Yep.
Not a manufacturer. I mean, there's things like that are just over and over and over again, and
mm-hmm.
it's it's like I said, it's concerning.
Exactly.
And it needs to be investigated.
For sure. Very good. Well, really appreciate you coming on today, talking about these topics that are important to North Dakota.
You're sure welcome.
Do you have any final takes, any lasting words of wisdom before we let you go today?
Well, we were going to talk about a couple of bills that were important to me. School choice.
Mm-hmm.
We had such a good bill, I felt like,
mm-hmm.
and the governor vetoed it, and that was very disappointing that happened. I think that school choice will raise the bar of education for public and private because it gives more competition, and I just think parents need some options. Every state that they've done that, education has just gotten better. And then there was Sue Ann Olson's parents' rights bill.
Sure. Yeah.
A bill to give parental rights to be in a doctor's office. That was
that was a unique one.
That got defeated. So there was a couple of. I mean, we had some good victories, but that was really hard to see it passed. So,
and that school choice one was really an interesting situation, how you guys passed the one bill pretty close to unanimously. Obviously there was a little dissent, but it was largely in favor by the House and the Senate. Then the governor goes and vetoes it, and then flip side, he recommends the secondary bill that's in there, which then gets shot down pretty heavily by the House and Senate.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, so it's just a fight that we have to continue on. We have to make sure that children's education is foremost primary, not public school. Public school is a part of it. It's a big part of it, but we can't elevate that above the kids. And I think sometimes that happens. Even in my own area, we have discussions about that all the time. And there's not a lot of private school choices in my area. So they say, why do you support that? Because I believe it will improve even the public education with competition. Now, where my kids went to school at Munich, they still have a good school there. But good. There's a lot of public schools that aren't good. I mean, there's good and bad. My wife, she had the opportunity while I was in Bismarck to substitute teach, and it's not the teacher's fault. I mean, we have a breakdown of the family, and so many behavioral problems in the school that they're having a tendency to teach the lowest denominator. And there's just some things we got to do, and I think most everybody's in agreement that we have to do some radical changes. So I'm passionate about that, and I'm passionate about parental rights too, and just to let the people know that there's a lot of good people fighting for those same things, and are passionate about it.
No, that's great to hear, and really expect to see something come up again in the next session with that. And I guess one final question then before we do let you go. Do you expect to see some interim sessions come to light this summer with the extra days that have been saved by the legislator?
Well, there may have to be, with some of the things that are going on in the federal level, there may have to be a special session to address some spending issues potentially they're talking about. We will have interim committee meetings. Their legislative management is getting together at the end of this month to discuss which bills they're going to look at in the interim. Typically, those committee meetings don't start till September or October.
Okay.
Before we'll start doing those, but there may have to be. They like to save days in case we have to be called back to override a governor's veto, or because of what's going on the federal level, spending wise. But that seems to be coming around some now too. People are getting a little more comfortable with what the president is doing. There was a lot of shock and awe, I think, there for a while, but
there was.
They're getting a lot of these countries into the table, and like when you get China to come to the table this quick, and Europe, India, he's just over in Saudi Arabia and the United Emirates and doing some big deals. It looks like it's starting to come around and settle down. So hopefully in another month or two, we'll have a little more direction and not have to have a special session.
Absolutely.
That would be great to see. Yeah. Hopefully things continue to progress the way it looks like they are. And look forward to seeing how things change throughout the summer.
Yes.
Very good. Well, again, thanks for coming on today, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah. Look forward to it.
Yes. I appreciate it, guys.
Awesome. Thank you. We're going to go to a quick break, and then we'll be back in about a minute and a half.
In the demanding world of oil and gas, precision, safety, and efficiency are non-negotiable. Unmanned operator drone services revolutionizes how you monitor, inspect, and manage your operations. With cutting-edge technology and expert operators, we deliver real-time data, detailed reports, and actionable insights for our valuable clients. Why risk the safety of your team or waste precious time? Our drones access even the most challenging areas with ease, reducing downtime and enhancing safety across your sites. We take the guesswork out of your projects by offering LiDAR, mapping, and inspection services so that your projects stay safe, on budget, and on time. Unmanned Operator Drone Services, where technology meets safety, precision, and efficiency. Contact us today to elevate your operation.
Enjoy Minot's finest authentic Mexican cuisine with a view at Mi Mexico. The rooftop patio is open and ready for you to enjoy a margarita or other cool refreshment along with genuine mouth-watering Mexican entrees. Mi Mexico, South Broadway.
Hey man, that was a good discussion.
That was. I was going to talk about Me Mexico.
Of course you were. We didn't have any. We may have had a few softball questions, but we didn't have any hairballs.
Yeah. Yes. Culture versus man. We understand your
We're here for you, man.
struggles with the cat allergies. PetSmart at least is not lining my pockets. I can tell you that for a fact. I used to work at Petco, fun story, but
If we banned cats, we'd have a lot of people upset. Yeah. I wouldn't be one of them, though I probably would be, because there'd probably be a lot more mice.
That's true. A lot more little pests and rodents that you wouldn't notice or wouldn't think of. And I'm a cat guy. I don't want to see them banned. But however, I do understand the allergy part of it. That gets really out there, my guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't blame you for that.
You gonna grab some Me Mexico today?
I want to.
You want to?
Yeah, I'm not saying I will, but I want to. I always want to do something like that when I get off work, and then I get off work and I'm like, I just want to go home.
Yeah, I feel that. When you do, grab a picture of yourself, okay?
I will. I will actually. You know, I will. I'll have the waitress take a picture of me sitting at the table.
Yeah, do it. All right, we'll have to throw that out on the socials.
That'll be great. But no, that was a fantastic conversation we had with Kent Weston. He's done some great work up there, and we're really excited to probably next week at some point share a pretty in-depth article with some of the stuff that we've been finding out. So
absolutely,
it's nothing points to a T. However, like we were saying, it raises questions.
Yeah. we got another one.
Film podcast. Big feline is a powerful lobby. Yes, it's big cat lobbyists. I love it.
I love it.
So Jonathan, where do you want to go from here?
Well, first off, we got some exciting stuff next week.
Yeah, we do.
We're on Tuesday. We're gonna have a jam-packed.
Got a double header.
Yeah, it's gonna be a powerful episode.
It is. First off, we got City Council Monday night. That'll be that's my cup of tea. Always going to be entertaining. We'll wrap it up Tuesday morning. First, we're going to have former Mayor Sean Sitma on if everything still works out okay. What? So he'll be on to wrap. Actually, he'll be on with both of us for once. It's
first time.
Finally happened. Look forward to having him on to talk about that. Then at 10, we're going to do a transition, and Jonathan's going to get to have a discussion with Jose Castaneda. He's going to come in and sit down, and we're going to have.
Kyler might be a part of that too.
Yes, it's going to be I will be here. It's going to be a great conversation. Going to be a good doubleheader. Going to be an episode pushing 2 hours. So make sure you get ready to check that out. If you end up watching it later on, make sure you grab something to drink. It's going to be a great discussion.
Yes, absolutely. We're looking forward to that one. So make sure you tune in, and then also. On June 17th, we got something big happening. What's going on?
It's debate day. June 7th. Oh, you got the graphic up and everything.
There's
Look
the graphic,
at that.
Man.
June 17th, the Dakotan will be hosting a mayoral debate between the announced candidates. As of right now, there are 4.
To be clear, announced candidates on June 2nd, signatures are due. Mm-hmm. They'll be verified by this point. Mm-hmm. You had to have verified signatures to be on there.
Yeah.
There could be more candidates that pop up.
There
could be candidates that don't get their signatures verified.
Yep. So that is something that we will be keeping an eye on, watching out throughout the session. If by chance someone else jumps into the race and they get verified signatures in time, expect their picture to be on that graphic as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Looking forward to it. As you can see, June 17th, Mouse River Players Theater. Doors open at 6 p.m. We're going to have a chance for appetizers. It'd be a good just time to social hour hangout.
Yeah, a little meet and greet.
Meet and greet. You'll be able to talk with any candidates that are there at that time, all those great things. And then at 7 p.m. is when the debate formally starts.
Kicks off
the debate. At this point, we are planning on live streaming it, but we encourage you to be in person because it's going to be a really fun experience. There's a few ideas that we have to liven the event up. You're going to have an opportunity to be giving input on the candidates. So we have a few ideas there. Maybe a little bit of polling at the actual debate.
Yeah.
There'll be giveaways.
Heck yeah.
And a couple of other things.
Possibly find a way to get some question input. We haven't worked
Oh, yes.
all those
Yep.
out yet.
But there'll be a way for the audience to ask questions. We're not going to have an open mic because I feel like that is a risky thing. But we are going to have a way for people to submit questions, and so we can take those questions directly.
Yep. So look forward, but we have all 4 candidates: Josiah Royce, Paul Pittner, Mark Janser, Rob Fuller, have all committed to it at this point, and really look forward to seeing it come to fruition in the next month or so.
Absolutely. That's going to be an exciting time.
Yeah, big news. And then if we end up anything else that we have, we will be announcing that as it comes to a head. So make sure to keep following us for that.
For sure. All right. Well, you gonna ever get an update on anything going on in Dunseith? You've been spending a ton of time on it.
Monday. I expect Monday.
Interesting.
Be ready Monday morning.
Gonna drop something Monday.
Monday morning. It's gonna happen. And I guess we'll have to mention it on Tuesday at some point. Maybe.
We can grill the next senator on it, right?
Yeah. Bring it up to poor Sean. He'll drop it on him. He probably hasn't followed it at all. Absolutely.
No, it's an interesting story, and there are continued developments going on there. There's still our understanding a lawsuit's still in process. We don't know. We are not aware of when this is going to be officially filed or anything like that, but it's still in process. And then there's been some other research that we have done ourselves as we've dug deeper into this. And so that's the article you may drop.
Yeah. Once again, Jonathan found a rabbit hole, and I just went and ran down it.
That's all I do. I don't do any work. I just find rabbit holes.
You got
It's pretty much true.
You did the groundwork for it, and I just went and finished digging the hole.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Kyler loves digging holes.
I do.
And
you ever seen the movie Holes?
No.
Yeah, I know. I shouldn't have asked. It's a great movie. You should watch it.
Oh, yeah.
You ever read the book? How about that's a better question. You ever read the book Holes?
Good job on asking a very applicable question, but I have not.
Fair enough. Okay. It's a good book.
It's a good book. Is there audio format?
Probably. I'd be shocked if there's not.
Is there a lot of curse words in it?
No. It's like a book you read in middle school a lot of times.
Oh.
At least that's where I first read it. I saw the movie first, but we're off. That's a whole different bag of tricks.
Where we normally hang out.
Yeah. I love it, though. It's been a great conversation, as always. I look forward to figuring out more of where this leads. I'm still working on it. We're going to reach out to some people for comment on the whole situation over tonight and over the weekend. So hopefully Monday morning we'll have something for that, and we'll be able to package it all together and release it.
That would be exciting.
It's probably going to be long. Just saying that as of right now. It's going to be a long article.
But to be fair, you're referencing books from middle school, so.
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing. I love to read.
Yeah, exactly.
Hope you do as well.
So, perfect. All right, well, thank you for watching this episode of Indie Talk. We'll be back Tuesday at 9 a.m.
Bright and early. We'll be here.
Yeah, that's not technically early.
No.
Be sure to check out, speaking of early, though, check out our daily briefs.
Yes, every morning, 7:30-ish, depending on upload
Depending on
speed.
who's doing it.
Yeah.
We blame upload speed, but what we really mean is wake-up speed.
Yes. Do I get here at 6:55 or 7:15? That's the whole question.
That's a problem. I'm in the same boat. So, all right, sounds good. Thank you for watching this episode of Indie Talk, and we will be back soon.